Welcome everyone to another night of wonderful racing here at Pony Express. We are live at Le Mans for round 5 of the Endurance for Amateurs Championship. I am your host, J.R. Kopp, and I was supposed to have Byron with me tonight, but unfortunately it appears he is stuck somewhere in a snowstorm. So we wish Byron all the best. Hopefully things go well for him and he is able to make it home safely, or make it somewhere safely where he can join us next week. But unfortunately, it appears he is Byron with me tonight, but unfortunately, it appears he is somewhere in a snow. As I mentioned, you get me tonight, so you'll have to bear with me as this is the first time that I have broadcast a race. So here we are doing a little qualifying action. And unfortunately, I don't have, everything's not running real well tonight, so we are going to have to wing this and see how it goes. We're supposed to have qualifying up on the screen. It looks like here we are. Fortunately, it's not telling me who we're following on track. So here we got Kyle Smith. And I'm... All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've got a few things worked out. So, GTE qualifying, Terry Kroger, followed by Patrick Ripley, Tyler Langenbrenner, Paul Skip, Sean Atkins, Aaron Fulford, Brad McCombs, Nick Terrell, Ryan Tyler, Keith Roycroft, Daniel Higley, Ronnie Osmer, Paul Boyle are your GTE qualifiers. Tonight in GT3 we have a loaded field. Starting on the pole, Adrian Vigil, followed by Mark Thomas, Kyle Smith, Mackenzie Johnson, Andrew Malinowski, Sean Goodwin, Jimmy Covert, Nam Mai Lee, Anton DeCash, Aaron Clayball, Marcus Osborne, Andrew McMurray, Richard Curry, Sean Crowley, Roger Shank, Zachary Nurberger, Zach Purcell, Dave Ferrara, Carl Handwerk, Gary Schilling, Dan Coleman, Daniel Barnett, Aiden Svoboda, Mark Dillon Jr., Tony Watson, Nicholas Paletti, Alex Cornfield, Chris Lawson, Nick Brown, and starting in 30th position tonight is James Foreman. So we have a lot of people tonight's race. Looks like 43 are in tonight's field. Hopefully everything will start to even itself out. All right. As we get ready to get underway with the pace lap. Again, we are coming at you live from Le Mans this evening, a night race in the Endurance for Amateurs series. Again, my name is JR and I am your host for the evening. I normally am the guy riding around in 8th place. But tonight, you get me in the booth. So we are doing a learning experience as we go. It looks like we are already underway for green flag racing as Terry Kroger is leading the field. Hopefully this looks good on the stream. Now that says Mark Dillon is not where he's supposed to be. So again, this is first time I've done this. It looks like we've already got an incident. Looks like Richard Hurst has had an incident already this evening. Looks like he's going to be able to rejoin. No issues there. Hopefully Richard doesn't have to tow and use that fast repair already. Let's get back to some live action. Adrian Garcia leading these guys down the long back straight into what is a tricky first chicane here, especially at the start of the race. Can get this all wrong and end up in a mess in a hurry. And here we have the GT3 field coming down into that second chicane on lap 1. As Terry Kroger Jr. leads the field down for the first time. Looks like we have got a clean getaway and everybody is making it through. No issues so far. That is good to see from the field. A lot of times on the first lap you can end up with a lot of issues. It does look like Mark Dillon is leading the GT3 field this evening. Must have been some issues there with the scoring and timing and qualifying because I showed him at the bottom of the field, so I apologize to that. Mark, hopefully you will forgive me. Yeah, that would be Mark Dillon in the familiar number 3 Pony Express car. So we're just going to skip to the field here and take a look. Looks like we have a lot of clean racing so far as guys just kind of sort themselves out. We do have a hour and 40-minute race this evening, so plenty of time for these guys to settle into a groove and to gain positions. Let's see if we can see what happened to Mr. Aaron. Oh, he just gets into the back. Oh, and a hard lick into the barrier there. Hoping Aaron Fulford can get off to the side there and not cause any news. So that car looks like it has seen better days. And oh, and he does have a pull out right in front of another guy. Hopefully that does not cause any issues, and looks like he is going to have to tow that thing back and use that fast repair. Yep, Aaron has towed that back to the pits. Hopefully he is able to get that repaired and back in quick. It looks like Mark Dillon has pulled out to a sizable lead over these guys with that incident. He has pulled out to an 8-second lead already. Mark is on top of it. Hopefully scoring and timing aren't wrong, and Mark's not in the different class. He usually runs the GTE class, but let's just take a look here. Yeah, so something is going on where Mr. Mark Dillon is actually in the GTE field, but it shows him listed in GTE tonight. So we're going to see if we can't make that adjustment. So again, I apologize if things aren't smooth this evening. We are attempting to make do while Sam moves across country, and Byron was supposed to join me, but again, he is unable to make it. So we are going to see if we can't move Mr. Mark Dillon into the right field. It has him listed in GT3. So I'm not sure what's going on with Mr. Dillon tonight. So we're just going to have to ignore the fact that it shows him in first place, because he is definitely in the other field, as you can clearly see. So once again, we have Terry Kroger out to a sizable 4.5-second lead already, followed by Patrick Ripley, Paul Skip, and Tyler Langenbrenner, as these three are having a great battle as they come down into that final chicane on the backstretch. Patrick Ripley in that Ford, followed by Paul Skip in his usual Porsche, and Tyler Langenbrenner right behind these guys, getting a nice draft. Looks like Paul is going to pull out and try to make that pass on Patrick Ripley, and he is able to complete that pass. See if he can hold it going in. Patrick gets a little bit wide there and takes out a safety cone. Now those safety cones, they will regenerate themselves. Unfortunately for the guys that are coming behind you, it is really hard if you're using that as a braking marker. I say this from a lot of experience. So back into the leaders of GT3. Looks like Adrian is just ahead of Mackenzie Johnson, who is racing in GT3s tonight. He was nice enough to let me know before the race that he was going to race GT3s and not GTEs tonight. So these guys are having a great battle. As Mackenzie pulls out, see if he can make that pass. And he has managed to clear Adrian. We'll see if Adrian follows him all the way through. Looks like Adrian might be having some issues. He is slowed way off the pace. And he is having issues. I'm not sure what's going on with Adrian's car, but he has fallen way behind the pace all of a sudden. Not sure if he is doing major fuel. That would have to be a lot of fuel savings. I can't imagine him doing that bad. All right, Tom. Let's see. Well, yes, Tom, you would have to join me in the booth. You do have to have the track if you want to see it, but you're more than welcome to come in and talk a little bit of racing. I'm more than happy to have you. I don't see you're online, Tom, so if you want to, you can definitely jump down in the broadcast booth. I know it's going to be hard for you to broadcast on a race you can't see, but more than welcome to have you. Oh, and it looks like Marcus Osborne has had a crash. See if we can't get over and see what happened to Marcus. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Oh, and he just loses it coming into the chicanes and a hard lick into the Armco barrier. Oh, now the hard part is pulling back into traffic. Hopefully Marcus can get that. And let's see here. Nick Brown has had an incident. I wonder if it's just another case of getting it all wrong coming in. Yes, and he's same place where Marcus had an incident. Lucky he is able to keep that off the wall and not cause any issues. Nick had a much better incident than Marcus did. Hopefully Marcus is able to get back into the swing of things. I know a lot of people were looking for Marcus to have another great finish, as he's been having some really great races lately. And while these guys are going, let's talk about championship points. So, in GTE, they have a really tight race. David Lehman is leading the field by 2 points over Terry Kroger. And then you have Paul Skip and Patrick Ripley in third and fourth, separated by 3 points. Tyler Langenbrenner is in fifth. Then you have Keith Roycroft, Paul Boyle, Ryan Tyler, Doug Buchanan, and Ronnie Osmer rounding out the top 10, all within 25 points of each other. So a close battle in GTE this year. In GT3, we have Nicholas Pletty leading Aaron Clayball. Marcus Osborne currently sits in third. Now third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are separated by 3 points. We have Marcus in third, followed by Zach Nurberger. Sean Crowley, Roger Shank is in sixth. Andrew Malinowski seventh. Zach Purcell, Mark Thomas, and Kyle Smith rounding out your top 10 in GT3. Alright, Terry, I could move you in, but let's see here. Well, you know what, Tom? I think I'll just come join you. Good evening, Tom.
Hey, how's it going?
There. If you can't join me, I'll come join you.
Sounds good to me.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Tom joining us in the booth tonight. Now, unfortunately, Tom can't actually see what's going on. I mean, I guess you can watch the YouTube stream and you'll be about 15 seconds behind, but thanks for joining me tonight, as it's my first broadcast and Byron was unable to join me. But we have a lot of things going on. Oh, it looks like Sean Goodwin has had an incident. Let's see if we can see what happened to Sean. Oh, and it looks like he just got it wrong and just was able to scrape the inside of that Armco barrier. No real damage. Looks like he'll be able to keep on. And let's see what happened with Kyle Smith, as I think he's involved in that. Yep, he is involved in that same incident with Sean Goodwin and just had a little tap. Fortunately, that replay angle is horrible. How are you doing tonight, Tom?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm gonna have to do my best. I'm just getting to the replay now in the broadcast, but
well, it's not showing the when I switch to the replay, it's stuck on a static camera view, and I'm not sure why yet.
All the technical difficulties of the first time.
You know, it's the first time, and I have Mark Dillon, who is not racing GT3, and he somehow is stuck in the GT3 field. So it shows him leading by a healthy margin over Mackenzie Johnson, which unfortunately he is not.
Wonder if that'll count in the points later.
Well, you know what? It might. So let's see if we can take a look here. Looks like Zach Nurberger had an issue. He's coming into... No, just... Oh, no. Yeah, it looks like he did come into the pit lanes a little bit hot, but nothing bad for Zach.
Yep, just watched him go straight through the grass.
Yeah, not sure what happened there or why he's bringing that in.
Seems a bit early. Maybe picked up a little damage on the way.
Yeah, it does seem to be a little bit early in the race for that to happen. Meanwhile, Terry Kroger has pulled out to a sizable lead tonight. He is having some great laps, running very consistent 3-minute 54-second lap times. And he's still leading over Paul Skip. But looks like Paul, Patrick, and Tyler have been in this battle now for the last, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Tonight's going to be a pretty good race. Everybody's been doing a lot of practice. I know Sean Goodwin, it's first race back since November, I think. And he's been putting in the practice and showing he's up there in the standings.
Yeah, Sean has been out for a while, and he is right in the middle of a mess of people tonight. These guys are coming into that final back chicane, and and Sean just gets a little tap there on Kyle Smith. You know, a lot of these guys, they practice Le Mans, and they come out here and they run laps, and then they forget that the race is in the dark.
That's a big thing.
It is a big thing, and you just don't realize how dark it is when you're on that back straight. Braking markers don't seem to be in the same place.
Another big thing with the conditions is the temperature. Everybody was complaining about being too hot, being too cold, just the variation within the temperature. So it's interesting to see how that'll affect them tonight.
Yep, yeah, so you can see track time is almost midnight, and it is 76 degrees Fahrenheit, which is off, relatively, track temperature is 78, so it is a little warmer than usual, especially that late at night. I know they were doing a practice session earlier, and I think they had the temperature way off.
Yep, and that'll slow them down. That'll make braking definitely a lot harder. We might see some lockups going wide, all that stuff.
Yeah, especially when you're coming into that back chicane section there. The car tends to slide through a lot of those corners, and we do that on purpose. You know, that's just the faster way to do it. But as it gets hotter and the temperature gets hotter, that doesn't usually go well.
Definitely, and as the tires wear, it's going to be a lot harder. I think this race is a 3-stop, and some people may have to take tires.
Yeah, you know, this is the fourth season, and I've raced in all of them so far, and I've never had to take tires. We've always pushed it, and we did last race at, not Red Bull Ring. Oh yeah, Hungaroring, and I actually got a black flag with a meatball for a flat tire, so it does happen. Hopefully these guys have planned for that, and be curious to see if somebody does take tires. I know I wish I had taken tires because I was about 10 seconds a lap slower.
I remember chasing you down in those closing laps after I heard you got the tire. I remember Zach Nurberger did one of those supercar strategies and took only his front left tire.
You know, he took his front left tire, he came out in front of me, we almost hit, and then I drove away from him. And then everything just went wrong.
Yep, that's how racing goes sometimes.
Yes, it is. So here we have Mackenzie Johnson is off on his own, 7.5 seconds out of Adrian. I'm not sure what happened to Adrian earlier, but he was right there, and then he just kind of slowed and looks like he was almost taking a break. And then we have a group behind him of Antoine Decasse, Jimmy Covert, Andrew Malinowski, Kyle Smith, followed closely by Roger Shank. And nice to see Carl Handwerk is back in the league after taking a season off. Oh, it looks like we have an incident. Let's see with Aiden Svoboda, or if he's just coming into the pits. So for those that don't know, we use SDK, and oh no, looks like he had an issue. And again, you can't change the pit camera. Has got issues this evening, so the replays are going to be a little sketchy. I apologize.
It's all part of the learning process.
Yep. You know, people are going to get to see the race. I'm going to do my best, and that's all we can. So let's go back and check the leader of the GTE field, and Terry Kroger has pulled out to a sizable 6.5 second lead over Patrick Ripley. But again, we got this Paul Skip, Tyler Langenbrenner. These two, looks like Patrick Ripley has managed to finally pull away and get out of that battle, but Paul Skip and Tyler have been right next to each other for the entire race. Now, what are your how do you handle that when a guy's right behind you all the time, Tom? Do you sometimes feel like you want to just pull over and let him go by, or especially when you have, an hour and 40-minute race? What are your philosophy on that?
Well, especially at a track like Le Mans, when there's such a long straight for, most of the lap, when there's somebody behind you and, they're right on your tail, sometimes you just let them go and then chase them down and, pass them again. It's all up to, if the driver in front has the pace, sometimes they want to keep it in front, but if they are a little slower, sometimes you got to let them pass and use the slipstream.
Yeah, and we just looked at a replay there of Zach Nurberger taking a spin. Looks like he was able to keep it off the wall coming into the first chicane. Sure, it would be nice if these camera views would change, though I'm not going to lie.
So you were saying...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying Zach Nurberger had an issue there, which... Oh, we got a couple issues. Let's see what happened to Mr. Roger Shank here. Looks like they are coming down into that... Oh, and he just gets on the curbing, and a big hit for Roger Shank. Oh, and we have all kinds of issues going on. I'm not sure of the name of that corner there, but Roger Shank and Andrew Malinowski. Well, it looks like Andrew just gets it all wrong, and he is upside down. That is not where you want to be in Le Mans.
It's definitely not where you want to be, and especially not 20 minutes into a 100-minute race.
Yes. Now, oh wait, Tom, is there fast repairs this year?
I believe you have one fast repair. Yep.
But still, at Le Mans, that's probably a 4-minute tow.
You got a long tow, and you got one fast repair. Still got 80 minutes left, so another incident, and you're out of luck. Definitely not a good place to be.
No, and it's probably going to not put him in a good pit window either.
That's another thing here. Strategy is a pretty big role. And if you got to pit early, it's going to mess you up. You're going to be off cycle. It's not going to work well.
Especially in 4-minute laps. You have to plan so far ahead here because that last lap is so long and it does consume so much fuel that you can... a lot of tracks, I'll take a third of a lap of extra fuel. Here, you almost have to take a full lap of extra fuel just because of the length of the track.
Yep, if you use a little bit too much fuel and then you're going by the finish line and you realize, I have, 0.8 of a lap. Well, that's not going to be good enough. You're going to be limping back on fumes.
And you can't save enough fuel here. It's so far, it's so long.
The good thing about the fuel saving here, though, is with the straight, if you get in the slipstream, you can save, not a huge amount of fuel, but it might be just enough to save you.
And it looks like Roger Hurst has an incident. Oh, coming into the chicanes. Is he able to keep it off the wall? No, he is not. So it looks like looks like he's able to drive it, but, I don't know if that was the best way to get out of that, but an interesting exit strategy, I guess.
Just seeing the replay, so I'll take a look at it real quick.
Yeah, well, Tom, I'll play the replays, then you can look at them and see what you think from your angle, but it looks like he just kind of got that all wrong.
Yeah, that's doing a little donuts there, and I'm not seeing much about the rejoin. Maybe it was all right, but we have Mr. Zach Nerdenberger in here now.
Yeah, welcome, Zach.
Thank you, guys. I don't know this is the entrance I wanted to be making, but unfortunately, I think you called it before me. Before the race
apologize.
started, and it's all right. You know what? There's something about me and Lamar. I love the track, but I can't stay on the track.
Does not love you.
No, unfortunately not. But at least you got some help now.
This is true. Well, Tom's been kind enough to join me. He is he can't see the race live, so he's been broadcasting from the broadcast.
On my best.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so we've got some. Tom, you can actually help me interact with the
Chat?
With the chat, yeah. So people are looking for some closer races. So let's see what we've got here. Unfortunately, we're getting kind of strung out a little bit. I think the closest race you might have is, again, Paul Skip and Tyler Langenbrenner. These guys have been nose to tail all race tonight.
Also, looks like in the P3, P4, P5 area in GT3 is within tenths.
Yeah, I see that now. We've got Jimmy Covert, Andrew DeCash, and Kyle Smith.
I tell you what, you definitely get in a slipstream, and man, it's like a vacuum cleaner. It's really hard to shake people. And really, unless you get a good run with people behind you sliding through the Porsche curves, that's a lot of track where they can suck up to your front bumper, save fuel. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe some of these guys try and stay behind, perhaps, to do a little bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, me and Zach. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tom.
Me and Zach were talking about earlier. When you're much faster, like we were doing IMSA earlier, you're much faster on pace, but that slipstream keeps the slower cars behind you, and it just causes more and more problems, even though you should be able to run away.
Yeah, and I know I was talking to, I think it was Terry Kroger Jr. before the race, and we were running over some of the fuel numbers. Now, normally at 65%, this would be a two-stop race, but as everyone knows, you get tracks like Daytona and Le Mans in particular, you're on the throttle for such a long percentage of the track. I think somewhere upwards of even 75% of the time you're on the throttle. And so that might force people into a three-stop. So some of these guys can find someone, in a car in front of them and just hang on to the straights. I know even some of the GT3s can push past the GTEs with these high downforce setups. So I think there's a little more strategy than maybe you might think, even though you're just driving in a straight line.
Now, Zach, where do you think tires are going to play a role into Le Mans? It's not normally known as a high tire wear track, but with the temperatures being a little bit warmer.
Yeah, the temperatures are definitely a little bit higher than normal. Of course, you are at night. You do have those long straights to try and cool them down. I know this is not our first time at Le Mans, and I think the general consensus is if you do take tires, you can actually gain for the first, 20, 30 minutes maybe that you're on them. But once those tires start getting up to temperature, there's really not a huge advantage. So I don't expect many people to be taking tires.
Gotcha.
And in the chat, Zach, you've been asked how the track conditions are out there.
Definitely a lot slipperier than normal. I was actually running a bunch of 401 flats, nice and easy, and a bunch of us, I think even the pull time was a 401. So I think the track is running probably a couple seconds slower than maybe some of the practice sessions where it's definitely slick, especially around the bus stops aren't too bad, but the back third of the track I think is it gets sort of slick out there. Especially the humidity I think is also slightly increasing throughout the race. It's up a couple percent now, and that's not helping things either. Also a good gust of wind, 9 miles per hour. So if it gets in the right spot in the right corner, I think that's a thing that people don't think a lot about is the wind. And most of the time, you don't really have to deal with it. But 9-10 miles per hour, that's a pretty good headwind if you brake a little bit too late.
And one more question.
Go ahead, Tom.
One more question for Zach. Abby wants to know what happened with your race. What happened? We saw you going through the pits.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, me and Marcus were talking about the Porsche curves. If it gets up above 80 degrees, it starts to get a little bit slick, and of course, it's a dice roll when you open up the server. It got hot, I spun, but unfortunately, when I locked up, I was right in the middle of the track, and you can't avoid anyone there. So I had to just let off the brakes and roll it backwards. And I got past everyone except one car of Nam Mai Lee, number 38 machine. And we just scraped door to door, and that was enough for Meatball. Then going back to the Porsche curves, I hit the wall, and it doesn't take a lot to knock the toe out. And you know what? Normally I really stick it out, but it's just one of those races where I just feel like I'd be chasing my tail if I did that. And you know, it happens, but I won't be the only one.
No. In fact, it has been a busy evening. Oh, let's see what happened to Mr. Atticus. Had an issue. See what we get here. He's coming into that final chicane and just comes in there a little bit too hot. Nothing major though. He's able to keep it off the wall and drive away. So good job for Atticus. Nice to see he's getting better and better every week. He's still a young guy, still learning the sport.
Definitely always good to see him improving. And it looks like Keith Roycroft also just now put it on the hauler. I know I was talking to him earlier. He was having some technical difficulties, and Le Mans at night is not the track to have technical difficulties on, unfortunately. So it looks like his night ended prematurely. But we all know Keith. He's a fast driver. He'll be back out there and hungry for the next one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in GT3, we have a battle going on between Adrian Vigil, who's just eked out a little bit over Jimmy Covert, Antoine DeCache, Carl Handwerk, and Kyle Smith. These guys are all within 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, and it's good to see Adrian Vigil in the one of the newcomers, I think, doing a little bit of NASCAR with us, a little bit of open wheel. He's done a little bit of everything here, and good to see him make it out there. If I recall, he had a rough time out last time, but good to see he's back, hungry, fighting, finds himself in a good P2 behind Mac Johnson.
Yeah. Mac has just ran away with things tonight.
Speaking of running away, Harry Calger, too, pulling out a good gap ahead of Patrick Ripley and Paul Skip.
Yeah.
And good to see Patrick Ripley in the Ford GTE. I heard a lot of people talking about it. That wasn't their favorite, but he seems to have a good grasp of it. It's definitely interesting to see what he could do in his hands.
I was talking with Patrick earlier today. He runs the Ford GT because he actually works on them in real life. He's a race engineer. Also, Patrick Ripley, he has the LMP tub for his racing sim, his rig. Which he races.
Saw that.
There goes Tyler Langenberg. And he just hangs on to it.
Oh, let's see. Hold on. Marcus Osborne had an issue. Marcus is having a rough night. See what happens. Looks like he... Trying to see where he's at. He just... Well, lucky he found a runoff. Not sure if he just... Oh, and then he towed. So I'm not sure if Marcus is just having a bad night, unfortunately. No, there was a lot of Marcus Osborne fans out there.
Yeah, Marcus coming off a really strong performance last time out, and so he'll be disappointed. But
looks like Terry Kroger is pulling into the pits along with Patrick Ripley. It looks like these guys are making their scheduled pit stops.
Yeah, I think when I was looking at it, only about 7 or 8 laps of fuel here, so definitely the pit stops are going to be coming thick and fast.
Well, you know, we say 7 or 8 laps, but that is 35 minutes of racing or 30 minutes of racing.
That is true. That is very true. And it's a tricky pit lane, though. A lot of people that haven't practiced in the dark might miss that little chicane, and so you know what?
And it looks like Patrick Ripley is having an issue. He can't find his pit box. I've never seen that before.
And that's going to be disappointing for Patrick, I think, if I pull up the standings. So he was
not
right
sure.
on Terry Calgary's trail.
Oh, that was the strangest sequence. You don't normally have to pull in exactly in your pit box, but it looked like he was having some issues. Well, meanwhile, that's let Tyler Langenberg get out there, and he is leading. Now, of course, he's still going to have to make a pit stop, but if he's managed to pull one extra lap, Zach, how do you think that's going to fare come the end of the race? If he's able to get one extra lap.
Like you were just saying, it's only 8 laps, but that's still 30, 40 minutes. So 1 lap, that's 4 minutes of fuel. If you're able to do that twice, that's 8 minutes. That's a good 2 or 3 laps of fuel saving on, quote, a normal track. So that could be the difference between those 2 or 3 stops. And this is not a fast pit lane. I think it's only 37 miles per hour, if I have that correct. So it's short.
And it's long.
It's long and it's risky if you mess it up. So that one stop, one extra lap, really. If he's able to do that twice, and that's enough to make it to the end, which it might just be, that could be huge.
I'd like to point out, that was actually Terry Kroger Jr. that was struggling to find his pit box.
Oh, was that Terry?
Oh, was it?
From his dominant lead, he's now down into, looks like 8th.
That was Terry Kroger Jr. I wonder if I'd be able to get in there and talk to him and see what was happening.
Well, we could send Zach out as our on-field pit reporter. So, see, we don't have Sam, we don't have Byron, but look at what you get when the team comes together.
That's right.
Exactly.
There's something around here. I'll go see if I can find out. It was very interesting. It looked like it was almost... I know I've had it before where you're too far left or right, but that was definitely interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, this is let Carl Handwerk get out there, and he, I think, has also managed to squeeze an extra lap out of his stint. Yeah, he has yet to come in for a pit stop.
Very possible. He's up there. Looks like Mark Dillon Jr. fell down the order in the GT3, but now he's back up to 2nd.
Well, Mark's also running a GTE. So, we're not sure what happened with Mark. He is, if you go into the actual official iRacing, he is actually running the GTE class, but it's scoring and timing has him looped into the GT3 field. So, Mark is actually running in 11th place in GTE.
So he's right near Mr. Paul Skip.
Well, actually, he's kind of in the middle of nobody at the moment.
Oh.
But yeah, that's where he is on track next to Paul.
Oh,
for some reason, his car is doing some weird scoring and timing things.
And
so we're just going to let... You can't confirm?
Yeah, I can't confirm. Terry Kroger said he was too far left in the box. And all it took was a little bit of movement over to the right-hand side. But, yeah, very bizarre. And that was unlucky.
And that cost him quite a bit. Now, we do have Tyler Langenberg, Nick Terrell, Ronnie Osmer all in the pits tonight.
Yeah, a lot of late pit stops, all the way down to lap 10. There must be some serious field safety going on. And this could pay big dividends over... was it Patrick Ripley, Terry Kroger?
Yeah, Patrick Ripley is able to... Now, he is already pitted on lap 8, so Patrick Ripley is out, and he's going to have a sizable lead over these guys. He had a clean pit stop, but again, he's got 2 laps less, unless he's did the math backwards and realized that he's going to have to make a short stop, and he decided to do it now. So now we have Carl Handwerk coming in. Oh, and he gets it a little bit wrong coming into pit road.
Yep, I wonder if that could end up being a penalty. If he gets the unsafe entry.
Yep. That does happen quite a bit here. This is one of those pit lanes where you have to practice it. You don't have a choice.
It definitely does, and looks like he did avoid the penalty. So he'll be thinking his lucky star.
Yeah, so here we have Zach Purcell and Chris Lawson are battling out. No, neither one of these guys have taken a pit stop either, so I imagine both of them coming in, and hopefully we don't have an incident coming into pit road. Sometimes you follow that guy, you get sucked in and miss your braking marker, so it looks like Zach and Chris are able to get into pit road clean. So that's going to cycle these guys through. And Aaron Claybaugh is in the pits. And that looks like it's going to hand Sean Atkins the lead. Nope, Sean Atkins is in the other field. Scoring and timing it does a lot of weird things with SDK when guys are in the pits.
And Mac Johnson looks like he is staying out for one more lap, unless he's just pitted a bit early.
No, he pitted on lap 8.
Okay, so there
Mac is going to cycle back to the lead. Now, don't mind
Absolutely.
Scoring and timing. It says Mark Dillon is in the lead, but he is, as we all know, not in this class.
It is good to see him back out on track, though. I think this is his not his debut race, of course, but I think his first race of the season. But it's Le Mans, you gotta come out here and have some fun. So it's glad to see him back out.
Yep. Now we got Terry Kroger Jr. and Daniel Higley are battling out. As we talked about, Terry with that incident on pit road has cost him 7 spots, but more importantly, it has cost him a lot of time.
Absolutely, he is looking like about a minute off of Tyler Langenberg now.
And there we go. Let's see what happened to Sean Goodwin. Coming out of that infield section. Oh, and he just... Oh! Sean got caught up in somebody else's mistake and just couldn't avoid it. Again, that it's dark and you can't see everybody. Not what Sean was hoping to have happen. Hopefully he's able to drive that around, get in for his fast repair, and not lose too much time.
Yeah, and that was Richard Curry. Didn't necessarily hold the brakes, but I think in that case, that's one of those you want to try and release him just to roll back off the track. Because otherwise you get 0 shot. And that's just wrong place, wrong time. Shot Goodwin on the binders. And especially in that's one of those corners, 2JR, where you try and lock up the brakes on that apex, you're going around yourself.
Yep.
So, the double-edged sword.
Yeah, and it's dark. You can't see. You don't know guys are there.
Next thing you know, there's headlights in your windshield, and that's a bad sign, and there's really nothing you can do on some of these high-speed corners.
Looks like Alex Cornfield was going into the pits, and he gets it all wrong, Zach. That's gonna have to be That's gonna have to be an unsafe entry, I would imagine. And if it's not, I don't know if you can get any more unsafe.
Yeah, well, his engine is I'm taking a look back at it right now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just dirt, but the rear end of his car is not the same condition it started in. So one of those bumps finally blew the motor. But unfortunately for Alex, I think he's got a meatball, so he's got a lot more problems than just an unsafe entry, I think, unfortunately.
Well, I am going to try to find Mr. Mark Dillon and find out why he is in the wrong class.
I'm sure as we get towards the end of the season, Mr. Terry Calgary is going to be thinking about that time he lost in the pits. I think right now he's second in the standings, but we've got drop weeks, but it wouldn't have been a drop week if he won.
Yeah, you did cycle back. Now he's only 30 seconds off instead of the previous minute, but still down to 7th place after starting, from the lead position. Also, another driver I want to point out, Paul Boyle, from P13 up to P4 now. He's having himself a good race.
He is indeed. I think at one point he was he leading, or was that Skip? That was Skip, I think.
That was Skip that was leading. So yeah, Paul Boyle is actually gaining on Nick Terrell. So it'll be interesting to see this battle. And I think I figured out a way to get our scoring and timing correct. I just removed Mark Dillon from the race. Now, obviously not physically removed him from the race, but from the standings. And looks like Richard Curry has had an incident. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Oh, he just misses the braking marker, and luckily coming down into that tight left-hander before you come onto the back. I'm not familiar with the names at Le Mans, Zach. You should know all these, right?
Back straight, is that what you're looking at? He disappeared from my screen, so I didn't get a chance to see it. Let me see if I can find out. Well, that's an unfortunate incident. Some of these high-speed corners, you have nowhere to go if you get the brakes locked up. And unfortunately, I cannot see it, but...
Like the last corner after the second chicane.
Oh, I cannot remember the name of that. But here, speaking of Richard Curry, he is now into the pits, nice and easy, making sure to avoid the penalty. But everyone has a fast repair, and it's a long race.
This is true.
Now, can a fast repair a blown motor?
It should be repairing everything. I mean, I have heard some horror stories of stuff that hasn't been repaired before, but in theory
that
it
would
should
be the Mulsanne corner. I've managed to find a track map, and pardon my French is horrible, but here we have a great battle between Paul Boyle, who's managed to catch Nick Terrell. He's going to make that pass nice and clean. Oh, is he going to hold it? Just holds it on track. So, nice pass by Paul Boyle. Nice to see him up there. Now, I will have to give a little bit of love for Terry Kroger. Is it Kroger? Wonder.
Terry Kroger, yes.
Kroger Jr. He will actually be on the podcast this weekend. So, look forward to speaking with him. Hopefully, he can make up for his earlier mistake and join us as maybe a winner on the podcast. It'd be nice to have somebody on the podcast who has won. How's Zach?
Yeah, couldn't be me, unfortunately. At least not recently. But
if Zach, if you win, I guarantee you we're having you on the podcast.
It's all right. I make an appearance every week, so.
Yep, that's true.
It's possible. Rain or shine.
Looks like Carl Handwerk was at second at one point, and now he is down there in the order. Looks like 13th. Do we know what happened to him, or was it just a pit stop?
I think it was
pitted late.
Cycle. He was back there with me.
All right, we got some.
He
questions.
actually pitted on lap 9, so he was a lap later than everybody else.
Got you.
But he is up 10 positions, so Carl is having a great day. In fact, I think I will throw that up on... There we go. Put that on the live timing for all the viewers to see. You can see the positions gained in class. It looks like Tony Watson is having a great day, up 19 positions. Nice to see Tony.
Absolutely. Yeah, Tony Watson from the 40th position start up to 17th overall.
Great, and James Foreman is up 22 positions as our big mover of the night.
I was just about to say that right behind him. Tony Watson, one of those guys, season 1 GT3 champion, if I have it correct.
Yes.
He's had a rough start here and there, but we know he has the speed, and it's good to see it shine through tonight because we all know what Tony's capable of.
Yes. So here we have this battle for sixth position between Roger Shank, George Foreman, and Aaron Clayball. All three of these guys running great. Oh, and Roger gets in a little bit hot coming into, I believe that's the Porsche curve area. Able to save it, though, not lose much time. Or that would be James Foreman, excuse me. Roger Shank in the
Lamborghini.
The Lamborghini, I was trying to think of a good word to describe that paint job aside from the Alien Awards.
Alien Awards.
Caused you seizures on that one.
Oh, man.
Now, unfortunately, being Le Mans, you don't get to see a lot of these cars.
And therefore, full glory.
Yes.
And man, this is quite the battle. James Foreman throwing that thing all around. And that was actually one of the reasons I wanted to go with the Ferrari instead of the Porsche. It just seems to have that little bit of extra grip mid-corner. Obviously, now it seems like an obvious choice now that I'm sitting here with you guys. But this is a great battle here in 3 different cars, Porsche, Ferrari, and Lamborghini. So it'll be interesting to see if one in particular has an advantage down the back straight or in the corners here.
We're going to actually jump in the cockpit of Aaron Clayball here for a little bit and see just how this Porsche drafts down the back straight now, though, and looks like, yep.
That's going to be a slowdown, it looks like, for...
James Foreman got just a little bit wide. Well, let's see what kind of draft Aaron Clayball gets coming down the back straight. See if he's able to close up right on the back of Roger Shank.
And Roger Shank pins down here at about 170 miles an hour. Aaron Clayball already up to 173, 174. So that's a big advantage going to the braking zone, about 5 miles per hour.
Yeah, and you can see he was able to cut that gap in half. Oh, and he gets a little bit squirrely in there. Well, that was interesting. Leave it in third gear.
Yeah, perhaps with that little bit of extra rotation the Porsche has to some of those corners, try and get that power down. But Roger looks like he was able to get down a little bit smoother. But as I say that, the draft just...
Look at it.
Nothing you can do to break it. And Roger's left, right, all over the place trying to get him out of there, but there's nothing you can do.
Oh, get those tires back over. Now, for those of you watching for the first time, you would think, why didn't he just keep going straight there at the end? If you go too straight, you will get a slowdown. Let's look here. We have Gary Schilling has had an incident. Looks like he's trying to come up the inside and, just runs it a little bit wide and comes back and, manages to collect everybody there, unfortunately, for Gary. Let's check out from Andrew McMurray's view. I think Andrew was the poor guy who just got caught up in somebody else's mistakes here. Yep. Oh, poor Andrew. Nothing he could do. Having a nice clean race, just gets caught up. Hopefully it's not too bad and he's able to keep going. Unfortunately, Zach, we both know that any type of aero damage here is just, it's a killer.
Yeah, and it looked like Daniel Burnett, too. Going in a little bit hot. Still should have made the corner, but just wrong place at the wrong time. Gary Schilling happened to be there. Andrew McMurray, of course. When you see cars going off like that, you just have to pick a direction.
Yep.
It is what it is. That's endurance racing for you.
Now,
but
Kyle Smith running a usual paint scheme for him. He's normally the Monster Energy drink. No, he's just in... Unless maybe his trading paints didn't load, but
no,
it's like not the usual Kyle Smith car.
Black and white. You know what it looks like? One of those, like, you see like the GM test drives or something like that. You know, they got like all the funky shapes in the car. But I really like it though. Definitely something different out of Kyle than the normal Monster Energy.
Okay, so my trading paints must not be loading because in my screen he's just driving a teal-colored car.
Oh, see, mine he's got like a black and white, like,
and he's
checkered sort of deal.
And he pulled over and let those guys just kind of go by.
Wonder if he had a slowdown coming through, and it looks like the Ford chicane there at the end. The first one he made it through, but he hit that red sausage on the exit, and I think that might have triggered a slowdown for him.
So with Kyle, he actually...
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
With Kyle, he actually usually runs the BMW with his Monster livery. So
Oh, yes, you are correct.
So now he's changed cars and liveries. That's Now, did I also see... Is Kyle part of a new team? Did I see that in Discord?
Kyle's actually running with us on Pony Express now.
Awesome. So here we have an incident with Nick Terrell. Let's see what happens here. Coming down into that. He just locks up the back end. Hopefully these guys behind him are... Oh, they managed to get around. Nice driving by those gentlemen. Could it be the fearless leader, Mark Dillon, coming into that same corner? Is he going to just lock up the back end just a little bit? Oh, and he... Oh, poor Mark. As Nick Terrell was still trying to get out of that way there, and Mark just happened to come across and catch him.
Yeah, he just ended up parked right in the wrong spot.
And and he was trying everything he could to get out of the way. Unfortunately, Mark...
It seems to be the way Mark Dillon Jr. He always seems to find himself in the wrong place.
I wasn't going to say it this time. I was going to try to leave it alone.
I know.
So here we have Patrick Ripley, and it looks like Tyler Langenbrenner is quite a bit behind. So Patrick Ripley has managed to work his pit stop strategy so far and managed to gap Tyler Langenbrenner. Ronnie Osborne having a good race up to third place. So he's up 9 positions in GTE. That's a great race for Ronnie, who's got a win here already this season, running his usual 55R paint scheme for Our Motorsports. Whoa, we're going to have to talk to Ronnie. He's got some sponsorship decals on there we may have to black out there.
And I can confirm Mark Dillon Jr. did call it after that incident.
Oh, that's a shame for Mark. He was having a good race. Oh, it looks like Richard Hurst just had an incident. Let's see if we can get back and take a look at that. No, it looks like he just had an off and was able to get back on with no incidents. Good to see for Richard.
Very close to making contact there with Brad McCombs, but, made it through. And sometimes you just got to forget about it, move on, and close call. Scared him, but All
Now,
good.
a guy on the move, Mr. Terry Kroger Jr., has managed to work his way up to 5th place, so he's gained 3 spots on this stint so far, which I know wouldn't normally be big news, but he was our leader by a lot coming into the first round of pit stops and had a unfortunate incident. It's nice to see him making a rebound.
Yeah, and he's on his way down to chase down one Mr. Paul Boyle, who is now flying down the Mulsanne Straight. Terry Calgar not too far behind, looks like on my screen at least about 4 seconds.
Yep.
And
So
Ronnie Osborne right there, so they're all 3 right to reach the podium after that incident.
Yeah, it looks like Ronnie and Paul's about a second behind. And Terry another 4 seconds behind that. So these guys are starting to run each other down. Unfortunately for them, they have a long gap to go to catch up to Tyler Langenbrenner. And even farther to go to catch Patrick Ripley, who is having a great race tonight. Nice to see Patrick up there.
Yeah, Patrick, he had a couple incidences in Motegi, and he did a good job to drive back through the field in that Ford GTE machine. And so it's good to see him back out there. And he's one of those guys that over the course of the season is definitely a competitor.
Yeah, so let's go further down here in the Roger Shank and Aaron Claybauer are still having a battle. They've seemed to have dropped off. Mr. James Foreman's dropped back a couple seconds from these two. Still our biggest mover of the race, though, so nice to see James Foreman up there. We got Carl Handwerk, who is up 10 positions. Now, Carl managed to pit a lap later than these guys. Now, here's something interesting, Zach. Nay Mei Lee. First time I've seen Nam racing. Nam has managed to run 11 laps on his first stint. Oh, he has done 2 pit stops, though. Okay.
Yeah, actually, Nam was the person that I took out on my first time going around. So he's already used up his fast repair. But
okay.
If he's able to save fuel, we did do a couple laps. Now, I'd have to do the math to see exactly because the splash and dash for the 3rd stop might only be a lap or 2. So even with that incident, he may have had enough running in that first stint that those couple laps could actually push him to 2 stops to complete the rest of the race. So he's definitely not down and out yet. Obviously, that's something we'll have to see as the race unfolds. But I wouldn't say it's all doom and gloom yet. It might only take a couple extra laps.
And another Ford GT coming in, just gets it a little bit hot and spins, and hopefully he is able to. Yeah, and here we are, Zach. Another incident where you're just trying to get out of the way. You know, these guys aren't trying to do unsafe entries. They're just trying to get out of the way because people come so fast on this track. And it looks like Richard Hurst has had another incident. Let's see what happens with Richard. And I'm not sure why SDK unless he gets it. Oh, he just comes in a little bit hot. Manages to keep it off the wall, though, so no harm for Richard there.
Just did see the Daniel Higley incident, and that's just one of those. Just a tiny little mistake, and you get a tire caught in the dirt, and it's just all it takes is just a little bit. But the car's in one piece, no damage. Just morale's busted up a little bit, but that can be fixed with a couple extra laps. And speaking of Daniel Higley, he's actually now into the pit lane.
Oh no, Terry Kroger Jr., is he in the pit lanes or does he have an incident?
And he nice and slow, and it's dark, but it looks like his rear wing is sideways.
What happened there with Terry?
And I'm going to take a look at it. Here he's going down the Mulsanne. No, and he swerves, and Ryan Tyler tries to go to the right side of him.
Was
Terry
off
to the
off
left.
the pace.
Yeah, at least from what I can see here, Ryan Tyler went to go to the right-hand side. Terry went over to the left. And Ryan Tyler thought he wasn't given enough room, so he tried to switch sides also. And you know how that goes when you're playing left, right.
But he seemed to have so much more speed, though. I mean, he seemed to be closing on Terry a lot faster than you would ever expected.
And I can actually confirm from the in-game chat here, Sean Atkins over the radio. Terry Calgar's trying to serve his slowdown penalty.
Oh,
and
no.
It looks like Ryan Tyler just trying to go around him on the right-hand side. Terry was close to that white line, and you know it gets awfully bumpy over there.
Yep.
And I think Terry was just trying to just move out of the way. Ryan did the same thing at the exact same time. And I have they're doing 127 miles an hour, and at 127 miles an hour, that's a split second.
Oh, that's a shame. Those guys having some good races too. So it looks like these guys, Andrew DeCash, Jimmy Covert, and Kyle Smith has an incident. See if we can go back and take a look and see what happened to Kyle. Kyle's having a good race. Just gets it wrong coming into the back.
It looks like
back there.
Right before he went into Touch of Rouge, he caught the grass on the exit curb, spun across, hits the nose, comes through Touch of Rouge, the car's all crab walking. It just turns sideways on him. And again, just like what happened to, I think it was James Foreman we were talking earlier, just a tiny little dip in the grass, and that's all it takes.
Yep, so welcome to Pony Express. The curse.
Yep. You weren't the first one to do that, Kyle, so
no, you won't be the last. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about Tony Watson, who's up 20 positions. First season of GT3, Tony and I raced second and third place for 45 minutes. And I had an incident, had an off, and Tony was probably 45 seconds ahead of me still. Going into the second to the last lap, he crashed into that last chicane on the start-finish straight. Of all places to crash, I felt so bad for Tony as I drive by as he's limping his car to pit road. So hopefully Tony has better luck this race than he did when him and I raced.
Well, it's looking so far so good for Tony Watson. We call him the Iron Man, me and Mark do, and there's a reason why. And he's showing it off today. He's found his way up into 5th place, starting 40th overall up to 16th, so that's a gain of 24 spots, as it looks like Kyle Smith on the hauler as well. Yep,
these guys are getting quite a few guys out. Gary Schilling looks like he's out. Zach Nurberger's out. Marcus Osborne, I haven't seen a lap time for Marcus. Looks like Marcus is out.
Keith Roycroft, Cornfield, Sean Goodwin, Mark Dillon Jr., I think, will complete the list.
Yeah, so sad to see those guys not able to complete tonight's race. And it looks like we're stuck in scenic view. Nobody wants to watch. I don't know why iRacing would have a scenic view camera, but apparently there's people that like to watch the nothing.
Good old B-roll.
Exactly.
It's good for something, I suppose.
Well, we're an hour into this, and normally we would take a break, but Zach and Tom, if you guys want to keep pressing through, we're just going to keep on rolling.
Sure. Hey, Zach, could you stream your game so I could watch live?
Yeah, I'm more than happy.
There you go. And looks like Andrew McMurray just gets it all wrong coming into the first chicane there. Luckily for him, no harm, no foul. He's able to keep it clean and get back on the road. Now he's going to be in that Terry Kroger Jr. position where he's going so much slower than the guys behind him. Hopefully he can stay out of their way. And it looks like he does that quite nicely. And we have lost scoring and timing. And I have no idea why. I'm going to blame Zach for that one.
As usual.
Yeah.
Oh no, and there's havoc for Gary Schilling. Just got word on the radio. He has 15 minutes in the pits, did not get the fast repair checked, and that's unfortunate.
Oh no. And we have lost timing and scoring have just disappeared on us. And so has the ability to see who's where in the race.
Looks like you're... Oh, it's back for me on the YouTube stream.
Is it back on the YouTube stream? All right, well, at least you guys on the YouTube stream can see it. I cannot, so... Oh, yeah. So SDK has this wonderful little button that allows me to reload the overlay. Unfortunately, It's not working.
Who's that spinning right there? That looks
And
like Mac
Atticus
Johnson.
Middleton.
Atticus?
Atticus Middleton with a little bit of off there. He was able to keep it out of everyone's way. Doesn't look like too much damage, just a little bit to the nose, but he'll be able to keep going.
I thought that was Mac Johnson with the Memet livery he has.
No, Mac Johnson. I give Mac, I'll give him a hard time, as we all know, if you're part of the team chat. But I'll tell you what, he's proven me wrong, rock solid. And he's up 15 seconds on the rest of the GT3 field.
Yeah, Mac is having a great race. There we go. We got some live scoring and timing back so I can see who's going on. So, looks like Patrick Ripley is in the pit stops. Be curious to see where he cycles in with 37 minutes to go. Zach, can you make 37 minutes?
Let's see. I think I was doing about 8 laps, so that's 32 minutes.
Well, these guys are doing 9 laps.
It's 36 minutes.
It's going to be close.
Yes, so that's going to be an hour and 12, even an hour and 6 remaining. So they should be able to one-stop it.
Tyler, Ronnie. Looks like Ronnie has managed to... He's going to squeak out another lap as well. As is Paul Boyle. Looks like Paul Skip is in. So some of these guys are able to do that one more lap. Yeah, previous race leader Terry Kroger Jr. pulling in the pits. McKenzie is having what I'm sure he is excited is a boring race of just clicking off laps because he has run a great race. In fact, he is dipped into the 4-minute flats tonight. So good job, McKenzie.
Yeah, Mackenzie Johnson, previous viewers of the stream will normally remember him as a GTE driver. He decided to switch to GT3 in preparation for possible changes to next season, and it looks like he didn't need the practice at all.
I was just going to say, maybe we ought to kick him back into the GTE field. But this battle for second place between Jimmy Covert and Andrew DeCash is not let up at all. These guys have been nose to tail for almost this entire stint. And now Carl Handwerk has started to close that gap a little bit to James Foreman.
Yeah, we'll see. Sean Atkins right behind him, too. That he might be a factor to this battle.
Roger Shank.
Correct. Front,
Andrew
and
Claybaugh.
looks like they're all into the pits, but there's a slow GTE of Richard Hurst. Definitely get them all checked up right there. Better than safe than sorry, I suppose, but that will be the battle of Antoine and Jimmy coming to a close right now. We'll see if anyone takes tires or does anything here, or if they'll come out and just resume where they left off.
Oh, come on. Looks like Dave Farrar, does he just pull into the pits or does he have an incident? Oh, looks like Dave just gets it wrong into that same left-hander that's caught a lot of people out. They catch that curbing. Dave is having some fun out there in the grass tonight. Look at showing off some dirt skills. And Dave manages to get back on track. No harm, no foul. A little bit of lost time. Good job, Dave. Nice drive.
And that is Antoine DeCash and Jimmy Covert. Looks like no tires. And Antoine DeCash is actually going to overtake in the pits here. Straight out of the box. I don't know. Got a different fuel system or something like that. Got a little extra funnel into the tank. But, hey, hit your markers that little bit quicker, and looks like it pays off. It's an underrated talent, I suppose. People don't think too much about it. It's just, you just roll in there at the limiter, who cares? But right there, we just saw. You hit the marks, and a couple tenths of a second is all it takes.
Yep. And Tony Watson is... I don't know if Tony's already pitted, so he's coming out, see where he cycles at.
Yep, his last lap was a 4-minute 51, so he's probably just fresh out of the pits. And it looks like he's going to cycle in here 24th overall. That puts him around, let me see.
9th in class at the moment on my scoring and timing, but I don't get the updates as fast as you.
I think I have him 14th in class. I'm not sure if I'm slightly ahead or behind you here.
Yeah.
But Tony Watson sliding right behind Zach Purcell, Nick Brown, right ahead of Nam Mai Lee, and Ryan Tyler as well.
Yep, so you are seeing things I'm not. Meanwhile, Carl Handwerk is playing an interesting strategy. He has managed once again to stay out a full extra lap. Now, he will be one that'll be interesting to see where he cycles in at. Same with Aaron Clayball, because these guys are going to have to take a full laps for the fuel, so probably about 4 seconds less fuel.
Well, I'm looking here. Carl Handwerk is elapsed about 70 minutes, so 35 minutes a stint. So he only has to make another 30. So it looks like you won't have to splash and dash. So it looks like some of these guys out here that are able to take that extra lap, it's gonna pay off.
Yep. Now the question is, these guys are, if I'm not mistaken, just in front of McKenzie. So while they're only going to have to take a splash and dash, they are going to be a long way behind Mr. Mackenzie Johnson, who is running away with things tonight. Hey, Tom, how are we doing in the chat, by the way?
Not very active. We did have one...
see what happens to Nick Brown here. Coming into the first chicane, and Nick just... Oh, Nick, who is not his own fault. Looks like that was Adrian Garcia, maybe, who got in a little too hot there. Nope.
Looks like Richard Hurst, and looks like he just locked it up and forced just go to the dirt. I think he had the wheels turned all the way. There's nothing he could do. But I'll tell you what, Nick Brown must have got the surprise of his life when he saw the headlight inside of his door. But you know what? If you hit him just right, he might actually not be too bad if he just has some side damage only. It might. I mean, I don't want to call it a blessing because obviously you don't want to see him get hit like that. But of all the ways to make contact, that might have been the best way, you could argue.
Yep. Now, Andrew DeCash and Jimmy Covert managed to run through a full stint and a pit cycle, and here they are again, Zach, nose to tail for what I will imagine will be 29 and a half minutes of racing.
Oh, absolutely. And looks like Mac Johnson is staying out for another lap, so perhaps
he's already
might
pitted.
Actually be good to go. Has he pitted a second time?
He's pitted twice. Yep. I got him as 2 pits.
Oh, here it is. He just crossed the line on my screen.
Okay,
yeah. 449. So, yes, he may be very marginal. It actually might end up coming down to Tyler Langenberg and Ronnie Osmer. If one of those guys crosses the line quick enough and forces this race to go one more extra lap, it might fall into the hands of Carl Handwerk.
Now, we had that when we did our race, Zach. We purposely let the leaders go by because we were 1 lap short, if I do recall.
Yes, but that is also one of those things where it's very dependent on who's around you. You get 1 extra car between you and the leader that's on the same lap as you, and that messes it up. But you know what? It could be forced an extra lap and this, that, and the next thing. But then, turns out that Mackenzie Johnson ends up in the right spot and is able to let a car by. It's just one of those things. It just adds to the last lap drama to see how this plays out between Carl and Mackenzie.
Now, James Foreman and Aaron Clayball have been having another battle as well. James, who's having a great race, up 17 spots, so it's nice to see him up there. I'm not real familiar with James. Zach, what do you know of Mr. Foreman?
You know what? I don't know too much about Mr. Foreman, but it looks like we're going to need to know a lot more about him after his performance so far. Up from P45 overall up to P20 overall.
Oh, looks like we've got some incidents going on. There's Nick Brown with an incident. Nothing drastic. Let's see what happened to Dave Ferraro. We got a bunch of crashes coming up here. Looks like I think Dave's just going to get it wrong. Yep, just gets it wrong. Oh, and into the Armco barrier. And let's see what happens to Mr. Andrew McMurray. And I think Andrew McMurray is going to catch one Mr. Ronnie Osmer as well. So it looks like he just loses it going in. He's stuck there. He doesn't do anything wrong, and it looks like, Ronnie Osmer coming in. I think he just gets it all wrong. Let's see what happens to Ronnie. Comes in a little hot, catches that inside curb, Zach. As we know, unforgiving, you catch that inside curb a little bit too much. So 1 corner, 4 incidents. Well, that's going to shake things up a little bit here in the lead group.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm able to see exactly what you're seeing right now. But, we've seen it from a lot of these guys. Unfortunately, no one can see the other one do it, so no one can learn from each other.
Yep.
And you just see the whole entire accumulation as I believe I'm seeing like Ronnie Osborne, yes, and that's him just getting off. That's you gotta be very careful after that little you have that little kink before it cuts back to the hard left.
Yep. And it's such a fast corner.
There's that, but there's also it's not in real life, obviously. But this is it's an iRacing special, I like to call it. There's actually a hole in that wall, and if you're all locked up and you go through that hole in the wall, it actually sends you straight back to the pits because you fall through the universe there. And it looks like Ronnie was, if I believe I had the right car. Obviously, it's kind of hard for me to see here, but if you get it locked up and you slide through that little gap in the wall, you have more than just a damaged nose. You got yourself a nice toe.
It looks like Ronnie may have called it a night, or he's in the tow process because I can't find him.
Ronnie Osborne has manually disconnected, so he will be calling that a night as well.
It's a shame he was having a good race too.
He was flying through the field, making his way up there.
Looks like newly added team member, Team Pony Express, Bryce Anderson says, hit him with that sweet onboard gyro cam.
Hit Bryce with the sweet onboard gyro
cams.
He wants to see that.
Let's jump aboard with Mr. Patrick Ripley in the wonderful Ford GT. Now, I am a big fan of the purple ambiance that you get with all these iRacing cars.
Those lights on the
inside there, the endurance lights.
The lights on the outside of the Ford GT make it a beautiful looking car. Oh. I like the lights in all the cowling and the induction spots. It's great looking.
GT is the Ford GT is one of the cars I haven't driven yet, but I'll tell you what, it looks like one of the best cars out there.
It looks that way, but it does not drive that way for me.
But
it looks like Mr. Ripley has got you get close there, and you get a little worried, but Patrick seems to have it dialed in tonight. Let's see how.
He does have it dialed in, but so does Tyler Langenberg. Looks like on my screen pulling out to about a 25-second lead. And Patrick Ripley, Nick Terrell, those guys are going to have some hard work cut out for themselves.
Yes.
Bryce Anderson says, "Oh yeah, baby, that's the sweet stuff." He likes that view.
There we go. Love to hear from Bryce.
Why isn't Bryce racing? Maybe Bryce should.
I'm actually not sure. A little birdie told me he will actually be making the switch to 04A next season.
Okay.
So,
the gyro on the 04A Bryce is pretty horrible.
That's why he wants a year before we go to 04A.
That's right. He's trying to soak it all up now. But hopefully we'll see Bryce Anderson back. He's a quick driver himself, but maybe he's prepping for the 04A switch. I guess only time will tell.
So now it looks like Carl has cycled through his pit stops.
Yeah, and it looks like he's still retaining a 3-second lead over Mackenzie Johnson.
Now, I show him as being down in 4th place now. I show Mackenzie has cycled, Andrew DeCash is in 2nd, followed by Jimmy Covert. These two just can't seem to get rid of each other. And then Carl's in 4th. Now, maybe my timing is way off, Zach, but...
Yeah, I'm maybe a couple of minutes ahead of you. I think Mackenzie, though, Carl Hanwerk does have the overall lead, just a couple seconds in front of Mac.
Okay. Now, I'm going off of what you're saying because my timing shows Mackenzie in lead, and I'm not sure why I would be so far behind.
Yeah, that is a good question. I guess we'll see here.
So for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm going to have to go with what Zach says because I'm still showing Mackenzie Johnson 18 seconds over Andrew DeCash, who is half a second over Jimmy Covert, who is another 18 seconds ahead of Carl Handwerk.
And you know what? I think you are correct. I think it just has to cycle through here at the end of the lap.
Okay, yeah.
So
if you're not on live scoring, you have to turn that on. iRacing's changed that option to where it only updates every lap.
Gotcha.
Mine updates every 3 seconds.
And so that being said, I have Mackenzie Johnson making the pass on, looks like Aiden Sabota into the 4 chicanes here. And I think I'll see timing and scoring take over. So
Yep.
It looks like Mac still fast enough. I think it makes things even better now, JR, with Carl Hamrick's strategy. I guess now we definitely get to see how that plays on.
Yeah, it all depends on if McKenzie can pull this out. Meanwhile, Tony Watson has managed to catch Aaron Claybaugh and James Foreman. He's only a second and a half back of these guys now. Be curious to see if Tony can pull ahead a little bit farther. So let's Zach, let's jump through. We'll grab each one of the guys here. So we have Patrick Ripley with a 22-second lead over Tyler Langenberg, followed closely by Brad McCombs up in third place. Nice to see Brad up there in third place in that nice System X car, followed by Paul Boyle, Paul Skip, Nick Terrell, Terry Kroger Jr., Sean Adkins, Daniel Higley, Atticus Middleton, Aaron Fulford, Ryan Taylor, Ronnie Osmer, Richard Hurst, and Keith Roycroft, rounding out your top 15 in GTE. GT3 field, we have Mackenzie Johnson, Antoine DeCash, Jimmy Covert, Carl Handwerk, James Foreman, Aaron Claybaugh, Tony Watson, Nicholas Paletti, Chris Lawson, Sean Crowley, Roger Shank, Zach Perel, and Adrian Vigil. Followed by Nam, May Lee, Nick Brown, Andrew Malinowski, Andrew McMurray, Dan Coleman, Daniel Barnett, Richard Curry, Aiden Svoboda, Gary Schilling, Dave Ferrara, Mark Thomas, and Kyle Smith. Round out your... what's that?
I do apologize earlier. I guess the same time in scoring that got me confused with Mac Johnson. Did the same for Tyler Langenberg. And so, yes, Patrick Ripley out there in the Ford GT machine, doing it proud.
Yep, nice to see Patrick up there. Oh, and we're stuck back in scenic view. I apologize to the viewers. Really wish I could delete some of these views, but unfortunately I cannot.
Get some beautiful nighttime shots at the KFC.
Well, I'm here to provide for all the viewers. Maybe there's somebody out there that's a little hungry.
I'm one of them.
Looks like Bryce Anderson had a work conflict that prevented him from participating tonight.
Oh, okay. So I guess we will see him finish out the remainder of the season, which is good to see. Bryce Anderson, hasn't, kind of like Mark Dillon, haven't had the luck on his side. Sometimes I know if I had $1 for every time Bryce and Terry seem to find each other, none of us would be here. We'd be racing a real GT3.
Yes.
But it's good to see Bryce Anderson. Hopefully, he'll be back soon. Very talented driver.
And
he's I know, talking to him earlier, he's having a lot of fun at Belle Isle this week.
It's let's see what happens. I have Mackenzie Johnson is having an incident, and Zach, Mackenzie gets it all wrong again in that same corner, and just gets collected by, I'm not sure who that was. I think that might have been Atticus Middleton who... No, it's hard to say who collected Mackenzie. I think it might have been... I couldn't tell who was in the...
Here, I do see the car of Aiden Svoboda, and... Oh, no, Mac lets off the brake. No, that's a very tricky one.
Was that Aiden Svoboda that caught him?
Yeah, it looks like Aiden Svoboda. Yeah,
and nothing Aiden can do. He's coming around that corner at 150 miles an hour, and Mac just happened to be right in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. Mac looked like he had it slowed down. He left the brakes and rolled back out towards the middle, but he was really close to the apex. It's one of those 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other sort of things. I honestly, I think Aiden Svoboda, if you ever went around that corner, you're kind of lifting off in like 5th or 6th gear, so it doesn't really matter where Mac's at.
No.
You might as well have an 18-wheeler.
Yep, because you're not making that turn.
It looked like Mac Johnson doing his best to get out of the way. Unfortunately, just nothing you can do. Hopefully for him,
and that's a shame too.
Back.
He was able to limp it back. He's in there. He'll probably take his fast repair. Unfortunately, that is going to put him well back in this field with 16 minutes remaining. And that hands the lead over to Andrew DeCash, who has run a flawless race this evening. Now, the question is, Zach, can these guys make it 16 more minutes without having to do another splash and dash? Because Mackenzie Johnson no longer has to be, he's good to go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Mac's plan, or I don't know whether it was a plan or not, but he was looking like he was always going to have to make that splash and dash. Made it a little bit earlier with some damage. I think he still has a fast repair. So really, the only time he lost is getting that car turned around, and maybe a mile and a half of limping it back. So I'd say maybe max total time loss, maybe only 30 seconds, 45 seconds. It's not the end of the world, but we've seen people like Carl Handwerk now that are going to get past him that don't have to make the stop anyways. So I know maybe Mac might not have lost out on too much time with the people on the same strategy as him, but I think all those guys, Antoine DeCash and Jimmy Covert, I think they have the extra lap. I feel I could be wrong.
Yep,
but that's going to play into their hands, and they definitely don't have to worry about that. And I think that was Mac's ace up his sleeve, is that he was just so far ahead.
Antone and Jimmy were on the same strategy as Mac.
Mackenzie?
So the only one is Carl Handwerk and Aaron Clayball. Now, Tony Watson's on an interesting strategy because he pitted a lap earlier than everybody else. So Tony is definitely going to have to come in, which is weird. Tony pitted 2 laps before Aaron.
Yeah, and my scoring timing shows when they did cross the line, Antoine 15 seconds ahead of Carl Handwerk. So, obviously Splash Dash can't be too long. I'm not sure what the
Daniel
pit transit
Barnett has an off, and hopefully he's able to get that out of the middle of the road before too much traffic comes. So Daniel Barnett has an off, but no harm, no foul there for Daniel. Nice to see him able to keep going. Sorry, Zach, I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. No, I was just saying, I think last time they crossed the line, looks like Daniel Burnett off through the dirt again, unless I'm just not seeing this incident. Looks like Antoine has about a 15-second lead on Carl. So if he does it,
looks like Daniel Barnett just has another incident.
Okay, so I was seeing that then.
Yep.
Going to the Porsche curves there.
Speaking of dirt, Pony Express, for all you viewers, Pony Express is looking into starting a dirt league every Friday night after the NASCAR league.
Yeah, so a lot of you guys that like doing that NASCAR stuff, we're doing a little dirt right after it. Looking for about 10:30 Eastern, just to have some fun, a little bit of late night dirt racing. But Daniel Burnett, unfortunately, so you gotta save that for Fridays there. But he kept the car going, a lot better than I could. And looks like no harm, no foul.
All right, let's see here. Well, there, we'll throw up a little track map for the viewers here. Tom, you'll have to tell us how that track map looks there.
I will tell you when it appears. I'm
showing here that Patrick Ripley's had an incident. Hopefully that is not the case. He looks like he's coming into that final chicane. Oh, and Patrick gets it wrong. Able to stay with it, though, but that's going to cost him some time, Zach.
Yeah, and this is a weird one. And you know what? From what I can see, it looks like he just got in that curve a little bit too much. And I'm not too familiar with how that 4GT is set up. Maybe it might be a little bit lower, and it looks like it gave a little bit of a Tony Hawk there.
Yep.
And I think just getting on the brakes, the left side getting light, just locked it up. And, there's nothing you can do other than just kind of skate around.
Aiden Svoboda.
Oh, go ahead.
Aiden Svoboda's in the YouTube chat. He's asking what cars we're using for the dirt league. We're using the 358 big blocks, and he said he's going to be in the pits for the next 19 minutes from that contact with Mac Johnson. So, unfortunate on his end.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Covert has managed to get past Andrew DeCash for the lead.
Has he now? And you know what? You're not kidding. He has,
and he is
actually
actually
a little bit of gap, and he has
already.
Yeah, and he has Daniel Higley, the GT in front of him now with these high downforce setups.
Oh, he is going to get a...
Yeah, absolutely, he's going to get a great tow. Now,
in fact,
you can actually pull past them because they're so limited by the drag.
Yep.
But those GTs have that good initial getaway that it creates enough of a gap that you can chase up to them long enough.
Well, we're going to watch it from the in-car camera with Jimmy Covert and see just how much he's able to... Oh, you could just see, just close this. Oh, is he going to get it pulled back around? Nice.
Oh, some gyro action.
Oh, yeah,
Bryce.
for our Bryce viewers, we'll check out the gyro action.
That track map looks very nice up there.
Is it in a good spot there, Tom? I appreciate it.
Does look
now, this
like
is
a
the
good
corner
spot.
where we're getting a lot of people getting caught out at tonight. No problems for Jimmy Covert tonight, though. Now, right behind him is Mr. Anton DeCash, who's having another great night, up 7 positions. So our top 2 leaders have moved up quite a ways up the leaderboard, but this gentleman behind them, Mr. Carl Handwerk, is up 16 spots, and he has managed to cut almost a full second off of these 2 guys in that last lap already. So keep an eye on Carl, who also we know does not have to pit again. I'm not so sure about the top 2. And then we get Aaron Clayball, who is also, he is right on the edge, Zach. He pitted on lap 17.
Yeah, so it looks like... Did he go 117? Obviously, it's an odd number. I wonder, was he able to drag one stint out a little bit further than the other one? So I don't know if he'll have the fuel.
Paul Boyle.
He might only have 3 laps. You know what? I think Claybaugh should be able to make it.
Yeah, that is our battle on the race. Now, we also have a battle here between Adrian Vigil and Zach Purcell. Looks like these 2 guys are going to...
Ripley getting involved as well.
Yeah.
Zach Purcell, actually the winner of Canadian Tire. First race of the season. He was off to a good start. Now he was... I think he was out of the last race early. I think he was a late entry. He had other stuff going on. He just kind of joined in last second. But now he's back better than ever. And he's right on the tail here of Adrian Vigil Garcia. And like I said, getting that tow from the GTE Patrick Ripley.
Yeah.
I apologize if we already went over this, but Mac Johnson's in the chat. He said he's out of the race because he took his fast repair after he tapped the wall.
Oh.
And after that contact with Aiden, his race was done.
Yeah, and you gotta be very careful. This is something we see especially with NASCAR.
Patrick
You know, you bump
Ripley
and
had an
banging.
incident.
You use that fast repair in accident. Check out Patrick Ripley here.
Oh, he just comes in a little too hot. Nothing bad, though. He just maybe lost a little bit of time. Patrick trying really hard.
Yeah, and I think that's how he ended up getting mixed up with Zach Purcell and Adrian Vigil there.
Oh, and here we have Tony Watson's pulled into the pits. So Tony's made his splash and dash.
The splash and dash, yes.
So we'll see where Tony cycles back out. Tony up 16 spots so far. Be curious to see where he pulls back out. Now this has allowed guys like Nicholas Paletti and Chris Lawson. Now Chris Lawson was able to pit 2 laps later. So on this 16 lap, we got Jimmy Covert, Andrew DeCash, Nicholas Paletti. Those 3 guys all pitted on lap 16. Carl Handwerk on lap 18 and Anthony Clayball on lap 17. So I think we're all in agreement here that Carl Handwerk is safe.
Yeah, I believe all those guys on lap 18 should be able to make it.
Well, there's not very many. Now, I have noticed that either Andrew DeCash is either gone into straight fuel saving mode, or Jimmy Covert is absolutely flying.
And looks like the Cash slowing the straight. Did he have an incident?
I didn't see an incident. No, I do see here where we have an incident with Paul Skip. Coming in, let's see what happens to Paul. Oh, he just gets it wrong coming into the... I'm not sure what those are called anymore. Is that the Porsche curves up there?
I'm going to take a peek at it right now.
Paul just gets it all kind of wrong. I'm sorry, I'm not as boisterous.
It looks like it's Porsche curves. And just locked up, and he went head on. I think maybe he'll get lucky that Porsche's mid-engine. But the aero damage is still alone. Obviously, everyone knows the long straights of Le Mans. So
yes.
It might as well be engine damage at that point.
Now, let's see here. The track map, there's just so many cars. Here, I'll put the car numbers on there. Tom, how does that look?
I'll tell you once it shows up.
Yeah, it takes
about 15 seconds behind.
So Tyler Langenbrenner has got a healthy lead over Patrick Ripley, over Paul Boyle. Now, Paul Skip and Brad McCombs, but I'm going to guess Brad's going to make short work of that in Paul's heavily damaged Porsche. So Brad is able to make that pass pretty easily, but I think Paul at this point is just trying to ride out the last 6 minutes, so he's going to have about 2 more laps of struggling with that Porsche tonight.
Yeah, it looks like Paul Skip got up to about 169 miles per hour in the draft of Brad McCombs.
That is not going to cut it.
And he was doing 170-something, obviously without anyone in front of him. And so, you never know. Paul Skip might be able to find a couple cars here and there. I mean, he has a big enough lead that if he only loses, 5-10 seconds a lap, it's only a couple laps he has to hang on there for. Obviously, it's not worth pitting at that point. You're not going to fix anything in that length of time. But I guess it's not all lost.
Carl Handwerk, I was curious if the guys in front of him were fuel saving or running hard. Carl ran a 3:59.9. So Carl is definitely on it. Now, Zach, Carl was fast last season.
I believe he was the GT3A champion. Don't hold me to that. I raced in the B class, which Mr. William Akala won. But I believe Carl Handwerk, the winner of the GT3A. So he definitely knows what he's doing. And it looks like at the line here, as they cross the line at least, it was only 7.2 seconds back here, but running 3:59s. I'm trying to get the last lap of Antoine and Jimmy. Jimmy's only running 4:02s. So
it's going to be close.
It's 3 seconds.
Now,
3 and
that's
change.
If those guys don't have to pit.
Exactly. But if they don't have to pit, looks like he's on track to catch him up, and he's got the slipstream too.
Yes.
He'll have to get within a second of. So this may be right down to the wire in GT3.
Now, I don't know what happened to Brad McCombs, but we watched him pass Paul, and now he's behind Paul again. So I'm not sure what happened. I only get to see if there's a crash. And now it looks like Brad's having a hard time catching Paul.
It looks like... I'm trying to see. It looks like it cuts out when something could have happened. I wonder if he got involved with Gary Schilling somehow? It's hard to tell. I don't think so. Oh, I think Paul maybe just with that slipstream is just too powerful.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Andrew DeCash is starting to close that gap a little bit on Jimmy Covert, but Carl's kind of leveled out. He is right there. I don't think he's going to have enough to catch the slipstream this time down. Now, we do have a good battle between Nicholas Pleddy and Chris Lawson going on. We haven't mentioned these guys much tonight. But Chris Lawson is on he's pitted 2 laps later, so be curious to see if Nicholas Pleddy thinks he can stretch it out, because these guys are going to catch. They're going to cross the finish line, Zach, by my calculations, and have 1 more lap to go.
And it's shown on my screen. Obviously, I'm sitting in the pits. but I do have the white flag out, so it looks like Tyler Langenberg is going to be on his final lap. And he is coming back down the Mulsanne straight here at the back end. So it looks like everyone else is going to get one more hot lap to give her hell or high water here.
Yep. Now that's going to be interesting to see where these front runners come in with taking fuel. Jimmy Covert is now 2 seconds ahead of Andrew DeCash, who is another 2 seconds ahead of Carl, and then 20 seconds further back is Mr. Claybaugh. So these guys are curious to see where they come out. Meanwhile,
And
Tyler Langenbrenner is pulled out a nice healthy lead over Patrick Ripley, and Paul Boyle is running in third. And he has got a sizable lead, so it looks like Paul's going to sit back and cruise for the last lap and not collect any incidents.
Yeah, Paul Boyle is not, you know what?
Well,
now that I say it, I was going to say he's not too far back, but it looks like because Tyler Langenberg has brought out the white flag, I think you need one more to catch up.
Yep.
I think for Paul Boyle, it's more so looking to
see what
solidify
happens
his
to
step on the podium here.
Daniel Higley coming into that.
Crazy things have happened.
Daniel Higley just gets it a little bit wrong coming into the last chicane, but no harm, no foul there. He's able to pull away and keep it rolling without it causing any incidents. But we're going to keep an eye on this front lead group of the GT3 series. The GT3 guys have all kind of set themselves in, separated themselves, nice little intervals between each other. Now, Paul Skip and Brad McCombs have managed to find themselves yet again.
Oh, another incident here? Is there here?
Well, we had Daniel Higley who just had a... Looks like Tyler Langenbrenner is going to come around and take your checkered flag as our GTE winner.
And
so congratulations, Tyler.
Tyler Langenberg. I believe that's going to be his first win of the season here as he crosses the line. And,
nice win for Tyler Langenberg. Looks like Patrick Ripley, after all of his issues, is going to bring that Ford home to second place. And we are going to jump over to our GT3 field. Now, these
Patrick
guys
Ripley
are
doing a nice job in the Ford there. And it looks like, JR, you've had quite a few problems with the Ford on the curbs. I wonder if these guys, going forward in the future, are going to be looking at some of these tracks with these bigger curbs, and maybe the Ford is just not suited to it, as we've seen plenty of them tonight. Getting it all wrong, and it seems to be curb issues.
Now, we're going to jump on board here real quick with Carl Handwerk. Carl, as you can see, is on the back of Andrew DeCash. They're coming down the back straight here, and he's going to pull out. He's got the slipstream.
And it looks like, I wonder if that's a tactical move there by Antoine DeCash to let him by, perhaps, to try and get him after this second Mulsanne chicane here and get him back down into the final corner here of the back straight.
Yep, so as you can see now, Antoine is right on the back of Paul. Oh, we have a car pulled over on the side of the track there. I'm not sure who that was. But we are going to stick with this battle because this is the battle for second place in GT3. Hopefully these guys that they're coming up to know that.
Let's get some gyro action for this last battle, just for Bryce.
All right, Bryce, we'll get a little gyro action in. Well, actually, it doesn't do any good. Let's see what Andrew DeCash is looking at the back of Carl Handwerk here.
And Antoine, Carl's got to find a way to defend this, but there's also a little bend there, and that can seriously affect your line. It could be kind of tricky.
Yeah, Andrew, wonder if he's out of fuel?
No. You know what?
He's got to be close.
Yeah, I wonder he's got a fuel save, or maybe he's trying to... I think maybe he's trying to slipstream on this final straight here before going to the Porsche curves, but it's pretty risky, and it's not the longest straight, JR.
No.
It's looking like he might be just making sure he finishes the race on track rather than behind the tow truck. But he's got a good run out of the corner here, and well, I guess we'll see. And it looks like he's slowing down a lot.
Carl has
Antoine DeCash here looking like he might be out of fuel.
Oh, and there's no coast in these cars.
No,
Looks
it
like it's still under power.
He's still got enough beans behind it. He does have big enough
Looks
weight
like
to the car
Jimmy
behind.
Covert coming into the final section here. We're gonna. Jimmy Covert is coming up 6 positions.
As
2
long as he doesn't get a
chicanes
slow
left.
down here to the final corner, and he takes it clean. And JR looks like Jimmy Covert is going to come out of that battle victorious, flash in the headlights. I believe that's
Followed
his
by
first
Carl
GT3 win of the
Handwerk.
season.
And it looks like Carl may have ran out of fuel at the last minute there. And Andrew DeCash coming in with a nice 3rd place. And here we have Aaron Clayball coming in. He's going to grab a 4th place. Nice race for Aaron.
And Chris Lawson with a good P5. Good to see him.
Chris
he goes
Lawson.
a little bit wide. He's going to get a slowdown.
Is that going to get a slowdown and let Nicholas Paletti catch up?
Yeah, it could be very close. And Paletti is off into the dirt himself.
Yep.
And looks like Chris Lawson is going to just make it through. All Chris Lawson has to do is to avoid cutting the final chicane. You can get up to a 30-second post-race penalty. Even
look at him. He is making sure he serves that slowdown.
Yeah. I believe last season, the car in front of me cut the corner, and of course, as you know, you don't get much time to serve it before the finish line. And I think it was like a 39-second slowdown. So a lot of these guys, could be forced into the mind punt, as Mr. Marcus Osborne calls it.
Yep.
But that JR was an awesome race.
Yep. So here we have the GT3, Tyler Langenberg, followed by Patrick Ripley, Paul Boyle, Nick Terrell, Paul Skip, Brad McCones, Terry Koger, Sean Atkins, Daniel Higley, Atticus Middleton, Ryan Tyler, Aaron Alford, Ronnie Osmer, Richard Hurst, Keith Roycroft. Round out your GTE field. GT3, we have a few more names to go through tonight. Oh, looks like we're going to start. Come on. Let's get back to the beginning. So Jimmy Covert takes the win, followed by Carl Handwerk, Andrew DeCash, Aaron Clayball, Chris Lawson, Nicholas Paletti, Sean Crowley, Roger Shank, Adrian Vigil, Tony Watson, Zach Purcell, Nick Brown, Nam Mei Lee, James Foreman, Andrew Malinowski, Andrew McMurray, Daniel Barnett, Dan Coleman. Oh, come on. There we go. Dan Coleman. Richard Curry, Dave Ferrara, Mackenzie Johnson after leading. What a disappointment for Mackenzie tonight. Gary Schilling, Aiden Svoboda, Kyle Smith, Mark Thomas, Sean Goodwin, Alex Cornfield, Marcus Osborne, and Zach Nurberger rounding out your GT3 field. So, Zach and Tom, let's see if we can jump over to Discord. And, I lost everybody. Zach, can you grab our leaders and bring them in and see if we can talk to some people?
Yeah, absolutely.
So who are we bringing in first, Mr. Zach?
We're going to bring in, looks like Mr. Tyler Langenberg. Hold on. I have to, if we could all drop down to the other booth, it'd be easier here. I'm sorry, guys.
I can drag him in here, I believe, can't I? There we are. Welcome, Tyler Langenberg. What a victory this evening. You had a great race and some opportune passes. How'd the race look from your end, Tyler?
Really for me, for like the first 2 stints, it was basically a fuel saving race. So, yeah, that's how I kind of looked at it, especially from last season being, I did kind of sort of the same strategy I did last season because I didn't bump up the fuel again for this race. So I knew kind of coming in that for my first 2 stints I had to fuel save, and then just had to fuel save the first 2 stints, and then I'd be able to make it to the end if I pit on lap 18. So it was actually pretty tight with the how much fuel we had here. If you pit on lap 17, it was going to be tight if you made it or not. If you pit on lap 16, you're absolutely not making it. That's just the nature of this track, how long the lap is, and then how much fuel you burn, and then how much fuel we have at hand. So, yeah, I kind of knew coming in it was going to be a fuel race, and kind of paid off for me, I guess.
Well, you ran a nice, clean race. We've seen a lot of guys have incidents and issues out there tonight. How much different were the track conditions as the night went on? It seemed like things got a lot more slipperier or greasier than normal. How did it feel to you?
I think it felt pretty stable throughout the whole race, but of course, as the tires wear, the car gets quite looser, and a build or two, they kind of did something with the car, with the GTE cars at least, to where the tires are going to wear a lot quicker. But yeah, once the tires actually wear, I don't even know what I was finished with. But once you get like below like 70, it starts dropping off a little, and then after like 30, it really drops off. So yeah, fortunately that wasn't really necessary for today's race because of how long the straights are and how little like corners there are. So yeah.
Well, great race this evening. Is there anybody that Tyler wants to thank for getting him here tonight, putting him in victory circle?
For my first win in Pony Express after many, many shortcomings, I'd like to thank all the guys at D-Line. Shout out to you guys helping me get better as a driver. Shout out to the admins for putting this league together. It's a great league. Thanks for putting up all the different kinds of leagues, I should say. Yeah, thanks to all the drivers out there for keeping it clean out there, I guess.
Well, congratulations on your first win, Tyler. We look forward to seeing you again next week at Interlagos, and hopefully we'll have you back in the booth after the race. Good luck next week, sir.
Yep, I hope I'll be up there. I'll see y'all. Thanks.
Yeah, and what a place to do it at too. The Le Mans in the dark, no easy feat. So congratulations, Tyler.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Zach, let's go grab Mr. Patrick Ripley, and I'll let you interview Mr. Ripley this evening.
Patrick Ripley, P2, just 10 seconds back off of Mr. Tyler Langenberg after 100 long minutes. How'd you see that race going that way for you? Definitely interesting with the, almost 70% of the time you're on full power. You have 65% fuel. It was very marginal the entire time. How did you see the fuel strategy go down throughout that race, and how that played into your hands?
Well, I think I made a couple mistakes at the start of the race. I tried to chase down Terry, so he was kind of running away. So I went full power right off the rip, and right from there, I kind of dictated my strategy. I couldn't fuel save because I thought he'd get away. So I kind of messed up there a little bit, but we know for next year.
Absolutely. And I know one thing the fans at home will notice is that you've been representing the Ford gang out there. It looks like on the broadcast we had a lot of incidents with the Fords going over the curbs. Did you find the Ford particularly touchy over the curbs? Or, and is there anything particular about the handling you felt that maybe helped or hindered you today?
Yeah, somebody's got to represent the Fords in the Constructors' Championship, right?
Absolutely.
So I just find the car is really stable under braking compared to the rest of the GTE field. So I feel like I can make up a lot of time there just in braking confidence. So as far as going over curbs, I've never really attacked the curbs too hard in this car, just for fear of them, right? So
absolutely. They ended my race today. That's why I'm here.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm giving you the interview instead of being interviewed. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just dumb luck. But looks like the curbs, especially down the Mulsanne, I mean, like you said, that braking confidence, if you don't have that, there's a dirt patch and a wall on the other side.
Well, exactly.
So sometimes that's what you need. Well, going forwards, next week, I believe, is Interlagos at Brazil. Do you have any thoughts on going to Brazil?
That's an excellent track if you have a downforce car. I think these GTE cars are going to be really slippy, really, really hard with all the trail braking you're going to have to do, and all the high speed, mid-high speed cornering. It's going to be a lot of lift and coast around there. So I enjoy that track. So we'll see what happens when we get there.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Patrick Ripley, P2. Before we let you go here, anyone else you want to give a shout out to or thank for getting you here?
I mean, yeah, I can't thank the community guys enough for, putting this together. Mark and yourself, Zach. It's always a great race here, so hopefully this sticks around for a while.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Ripley, P2 and GTE. Thank you, Patrick.
Guys.
Well, Zach, that's our GTE guys for the night. So let's grab first-time winner and big mover tonight, Mr. Jimmy Covert, and get him into the booth.
And ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Covert, welcome to the booth after a big P1 finish.
Hey, yeah, appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Spent 99% of the race battling Antone back and forth, and I want to give it up to that guy right there. That was probably some of the cleanest racing, giving back and forth, and I think he ran out of gas at the end, but definitely one of the best runs I've had in battling back and forth.
Now, Jimmy, we watched you race all night. You and, like you said, Anton were nose to tail for the entire race. You were on the same pit strategy. How did you manage to run without having to do a splash and dash? And it didn't seem like you were fuel saving because you were leading most of the time. What was your strategy there? How were you able to do something that seemingly nobody else could tonight?
My last pit stop, obviously took as much fuel as possible. I came in early, and because I could have made it one more lap, and I didn't. So when I got my fuel, I had to save 1.5 gallons. Well, I come out behind Antone, and if you notice that last about 20 minutes or so, I followed Antone closely, and letting up way before corners, short shifting, allowing the draft to do most of the work. And then when Antone got the slowdown at GT3, I think it was Patrick came by in a Ford, and I grabbed his toe, and I used him for a lap, which allowed me to save enough fuel so I could go all out the last lap, because I seen Antone fall back, and then I seen Carl come in, so I couldn't mess around too much. I had pretty good lap times because I really enjoy this track, but that's what I did. It was just a lot of saving, a lot of being mindful, and just letting up, coasting through corners, and let the draft do a lot more work than it normally does.
Well, you certainly played that to absolute perfection. Now, next week we go to something a little bit different. We go to Interlagos. Have you had much time there? And what's your strategy going forward into next week?
Yes, I've got some time on Interlagos. It's a real fun track. Last time I really raced it, though, I was in a McLaren, but this time I'll be in the Ferrari. It's just a lot of attrition and knowing, entrances, apexes and exits, as your spotter tells you all the time. And if you mess up, just one corner, you can lose a second for that lap, and it could put you behind. But there is a lot more corners. It is a lot more technical, and traffic will come into play for that one. But I'm very looking forward to that one. I do enjoy that track, so I guess we'll see how we do.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your first win here in Pony Express Endurance for Amateurs. What a great track to have your first win at. Who is responsible for getting you here tonight, and who would you like to give a shout out to?
I just, my wife lets me do this every Wednesday, and she doesn't give me much grief about it. So I wanted to thank her. I got some teammates in the field, Carl Handwerk and Mark Thomas. I talk to them boys a lot, and like I said, I want to give a big shout out to Antone. I see that he finished third, and also can't remember his name. He McKenzie. I know he was running the GT3s tonight, and he dropped out. I don't know if he just ran out of fuel or whatnot, but I appreciate stepping down out of the way, because I don't know if he was just trying to get some track time in the car or whatnot. But a shout out to him, and again, for Pony Express, and for you guys for broadcasting, because you guys do such a great job. I go back every day after the race is done and rewatch the broadcast.
Well, when you watch tonight's broadcast, you will see that McKenzie did not step out of the way, and he did not pull over to let you guys go by. He had an incident, and
his rear tires had to step out of the way. Not
yeah,
the whole car.
His rear tire stepped out of the way, and then the hood of another car helped him finish
up apex.
Yeah, he was definitely the car to catch, and I knew we weren't going to catch him. So, like I said, me and Antone kept it clean, and sorry for Mackenzie's loss. I guess you win some, you lose some. So,
Yep.
But I guess we'll see it. We'll see him next week.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jimmy. Good luck next week, and we look forward to talking to you again.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep. All right, so there is our first place winner in GT3. Now we're going to grab Mr. Carl Handwerk, our second place winner tonight, Zach.
And Carl Handwerk, glad to have you here after a strong second place finish there, chasing down Jimmy Covert, Antoine the Cash. Can you just give us a little rundown of what was going through your head there at the end as you're chasing down everybody?
Well, when I pit 2 laps after everybody, I figured there was absolutely no way they were going to be able to make it because I knew how much I had left, and I didn't think there was any way anybody was going to save it. So I'll be looking forward to the post-race inspections on Jimmy's fuel tank and realizing that it's a little bit oversized. So I'll be happy with that win once it gets awarded to me.
Yeah, you know, as I look a little bit closer, I think he's got some strapped to the roof. I think we'll have to go check that out.
Man. There's somebody hanging out the side refueling it mid stint there. But no, I mean he did a fantastic job saving. I mean, to save 2 laps worth of fuel, that's unbelievable. I mean, especially at a track like this. I mean, if you're saving it at a 2 mile, 3 mile track, that's one thing. I mean, this is a big track to save 2 laps worth of fuel. So, I mean, good on him for doing that. I'm proud of him for bringing it home because that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, the race itself, it went pretty well for me. Had a little bit of a hiccup coming in the first time to pit. Got a 40.
We did see that.
Yeah.
Oh, you did get a penalty for that.
I did. Yeah, I got a 40-second hold, so that might have change the game up a little bit, but either way, I'll take a second place. I'll definitely finish behind Jimmy anytime. He's a good dude.
And another thing, I hate to beat a dead horse, but we're talking about fuel saving. Obviously, I didn't make it far enough to save any fuel. JR is not in a car. I was just wondering, how marginal was it? Coming across the line, how much fuel saving did you actually have to save? Was it just a couple tenths of a lap here and there? Did you end up saving a full lap? I mean, how much were you lifting out there?
I got into the session about like 2 minutes into qualifying, so I didn't have any practice. Obviously, I've driven Le Mans before and GT3s. It hasn't been for a little bit, but kind of screwed up my first lap in qualifying and didn't have enough time to do it. So I started from the back. So I think driving up through the field, getting the draft all the way through, that helped save the fuel for me because I wasn't saving at all. When I seen everybody start to come into the pits, and I realized I still had coming to the line, I had like 1.1 laps worth of fuel left coming to the line. So I'm like, well, I definitely need to stay out there, get that extra lap. And then when I got the penalty, that put me back, and I had more guys to draft behind again. So I think my screw up probably helped me.
Absolutely,
save
a little
that fuel than I needed.
Yeah, a little blessing in disguise there, as you can kind of daisy chain off of everyone up to the field.
Yep.
Maybe it allowed you to just drive that car a little bit harder.
Yep.
With that being said, next week though, we're going to something a little bit different, a little bit shorter, a little bit more daylight, a little bit different elevation as well. Interlagos. Have you had much experience there?
Yep, we've
what are
driven
your thoughts on that?
League. It's a fun track. It's a good flowy track, but when you're going to have all these cars on there, lap traffic is going to be bad enough to pass. Passing guys in your own class, it's going to be damn near impossible other than the straightaway. So you're going to have to stay tucked in and close to the guys through what I consider the infield section until you get to the straightaway and try and get a run on them there and dive into turn one. Passing is going to be tough. I mean, it may seem like a wide track, but there's really not much time to get a run on anybody because you're just kind of flowing right into the next corner. So I'm interested to see how it works out.
Definitely, especially have those Senna S's, someone makes a mistake, they're sliding through the grass, and, you exit those S's, there's someone right there. Also known for its tough track limits coming into Junção as well. But yeah, it should be an interesting track. Hopefully there's many people out here. Carl, anyone else you want to thank before we let you go for tonight?
Yeah, just thank the guys in Core Racing. Thank Jimmy for running a good clean race the couple times that I got close to him. Thank Josh Billiter and Joker Graphics for the paint scheme. Thank you guys for putting up the broadcast, and Pony Express for the the host for the series. It's fun, and it's a good group of guys in here when you get out racing with them.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, that's Carl Hanwork, P2 and GT3. Carl, thanks for the entertaining race you gave us there, and best of luck in the future.
Yep, thanks a lot, Zach.
Well, there we have it, Zach. Another great night of racing here at Pony Express from Le Mans. Any final thoughts on the race tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it was, not my favorite race, of course. But, from the other side of things, I got to change it up a little bit today, and there was some very close battles, and just really getting to see, the slipstream, how much of an effect it had through the field. You see guys like Carl Hamrick there. Me and you thought he must have been lifting like crazy or doing all sorts of funky stuff, but no, he turns up, he was just daisy-chaining off everyone through the field, and, Le Mans always provides some sort of interesting race. Sometimes people get worried about the really big tracks and things get too spread out. Absolutely not the case today. There were people flipping, flying all over the place, really close battles, and that slipstream really helped out and keep these cars close together. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a great race, a lot of action, and a lot of interesting strategies. It's just something that Le Mans is famous for, so that was great to see. Next week, Interlagos, a slightly different setup, slightly different track, if slightly is the right word. But I imagine it's going to be equally as good of racing, just going to be a lot more traffic and a lot of good, hard racing. Looking forward to that as well, Zach.
Absolutely. Interlagos is one of those things, or tracks, what am I talking about? One of those tracks, you can put almost anything on on that track and have a lot of fun. You could throw some Formula V's on there. You could throw supercars. I mean, F1 cars. You name it, you can race it on Interlagos. It's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't checked the schedule for the weather. I know it's also known for its very hot temperatures. We're doing the Saturday F1 series. I think we got up to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. And that thing melted the rear tires, and that was on the hardest compound they had. So it may be in the morning, but if it is later in the afternoon, we could definitely see some interesting strategies with the tire wear. We saw it Hungary.
It's in the afternoon.
It is in the afternoon. So we could see another JR Cup flat tire special. Some of these guys. Hey, we finished ahead of me. So, hey, you never know. That's one of those things that, we didn't see here today at Le Mans, but just another element to, keep the tires fresh. The high elevation, sun's hitting really hard, slipping and sliding through that track. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for stopping by the broadcast tonight. Congratulations to your winners, Jimmy Covert and was it Patrick Ripley? Your two winners for tonight. Look forward. We will be here again next Wednesday, same time, same place. Look forward to having you. Have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And
Jimmy Covert and Tyler Langenberg.
Tyler Langenberg. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. I knew I was wrong. I just couldn't remember the other gentleman's name. And again, Sam, if you're out there listening, I hope we did you proud. And I have permission, Zach, to keep it clean, keep it green.